Welcome to episode 3 of the basic anatomy of a natal chart. If you haven't seen the first 2 videos in this series, go back and watch them now or you're going to be completely lost. Continuing on with our same example that we've used before, we're going to be looking at the natal birth chart of famed musician Billy Joel. So let's dive down into his chart. Now, this is the same chart that you've been looking at throughout the previous videos. I just zoomed in a little bit to make life a little easy for us. So one of the first things we want to look at is where the planets are actually positioned in this chart as far as where they are on the wheel. You'll notice in this example here, we have the planets along the outer edge. Some charts may look a little different. So in this example here, we have Uranus, and we're going to start with that one to give us a little insight as to how to make sense of what these glyphs represent. So the planet Uranus, and planets are what move through the various signs of the zodiac. It is currently positioned at 28 degrees of Gemini. Well, we know that it's in Gemini because here's the sign that it is in. Here's the planet, Uranus, 28 degrees of Gemini, and 16 minutes. Now, the 16 minutes is simply a finer calculation. For now, you really only need to be considered about the degree placement. And if you're wondering where degrees and minutes come from, recall in one of the earlier videos that the zodiac wheel is divided up into 12 houses. And you can see the houses are these segments of pie. And each slice of that pie is 30 degrees. So now you can begin to see how these numbers start to make sense. It's at 28 degrees, 16 minutes inside the sign of Gemini. Let's do that again because repetition here is what's going to help solidify this. Here we're looking at Mercury. Remember, Mercury has the 2 little antennas. It's a good way to remember it. It is also in the sign of Gemini. Well, how do we know that? Because we see the sign Gemini down here. But it's earlier in the sign. It's only about 9 degrees in and 65 minutes. Same thing moving along. We'll look at Venus. So now Venus, and you'll notice it's a different color here. And again, this will vary depending on where you're looking at a chart and what software and whatnot. But in this example that I've got here, we've got Venus at 24 degrees, not of Gemini, but of Taurus, because there's the sign for Taurus, and it's at 31 minutes. Moving forward, the sun is at 18 degrees of Taurus and 35 minutes. Same with Mars. Mars is at, well, I'll let you tell me. Yeah, it's easy. 7 degrees of Taurus and 4 minutes. Now, I realize that this description that I'm giving you has nothing to do with interpretation because you've got to learn how to read the basics before you start to assign meanings to these things. But that's basically it. And you would simply follow this entire process around the wheel, looking at different placements. You start with the planet. You see how many degrees it is in a particular sign. And that's pretty much it. Now, there'll be other things that show up on a chart like nodes and potentially parts of fortune and a whole bunch of other little things that could be included. But regardless of what the body is that is moving through the various signs of the zodiac, you read it the same way. It's the planetary body or the node or the asteroid or whatever. There's a bunch of other stuff. At X degrees of the sign and X minutes. Now you're probably wondering, what about all this spaghetti here that's in the center of the graph? Well, those are planetary aspects, and we're going to cover that in a future video. But for now, what I encourage you to do is go through your chart or anyone else's, or just pick a random one online and start to become familiar with the various glyphs of planets as well as signs and practice reading just the placements of where they're located. If it feels like this is a little bit tedious, remember we're building a house here and we're just now starting to put the foundation in place. The more you look at this stuff, the more clear it will become and you'll be able to pick these things out almost instantaneously. But start there, don't overcomplicate, and you'll be surprised how quickly you start to learn these associations. Like and follow for more. I've got a lot more videos coming. My name is Michael Spremuli with Blue Ridge Astrology. If you're interested in learning more about the services that I provide and how to schedule a consultation, head over to blueridgeastrology.com. Lots of more information there. That's enough for now, and I'll see you next time.